Facebook family and friends, what's happening, y'all? You know what it is. It's been a while, couple of weeks. Uh, as you guys know, I had surgery recently. I am still recovering from that. Uh, it's been a struggle. Uh, and then on top of that, recently I had you guys know we had talked about it when they took my upper teeth. Um, it was a little embarrassing, a little bit rough for me. Not used to not having my smile, not having my teeth, but it was medically important. Uh, so this week they took out the lower half of my plate, which means I currently have no teeth whatsoever. And it'll be a couple weeks before I get my plates, maybe a little bit longer. So it's a little bit of a struggle for me dealing with that. It's mostly vanity, you dig? Like, I don't want to be that dude with no teeth, but apparently I'm going to be that dude with no teeth for a little while. and I actually struggled with whether or not I was going to come on here and do the show during the time period of me having no teeth. But you know what? It is what it is. I am who I am. Uh, we grow together. I know all of you that love and support me could care less, and you're happy for my health being better, and I'll have a brand new set of teeth shortly, which will make it even better. So I appreciate your guys' support and your love. As always, let's welcome in our founder, my brother, and the Triceratop headed Samuel. Sammy, what's happening, my bro?
What's up, man? Good morning, everyone.
Morning, morning.
Did you already go live so I can share it to my feed?
Absolutely, we are live. I shared it to the secret page and to the public page.
Got it.
We are good to go. And of course, while I'm sitting here and we're just doing our intros and stuff, I am sending out invites.
That was on me. That's my end. Sorry.
You're good to go, bro. You're good to go. So hey, we got a 4th of July weekend coming up. We got some other events coming up here too. Um, I don't know how many of you knew I was supposed to be going on a trip this week um, to visit Sammy at home. Unfortunately, because of my surgery, I am still unable to drive for that long of a period. My shoulder can't take it. Plus, I just had the oral surgery to remove my entire bottom plate. So and it was a hard decision, you guys. Like not being able to go um, and spend time with my brother and his wife and his kids weighed on me pretty hard. Uh, Me and Lizzie had talked about it, and it's just I can't do a 7-hour drive with my shoulder in the condition it's in. The pain is a little bit too much for me right now, and so it's a huge regret, like not being able to be there with you, bro. But I'll be there with you in spirit. You know, I love you unconditionally, man.
I think that's a good example. Like sometimes you have to put, yourself and your priorities first, man. Like it's health and wellness is important, man. It's a major part. Some folks will try to push it out of this sense of obligation, but you gotta know your limits, man. That's just it. And you gotta listen to your body. You've had some major surgeries, you know what I mean? So it's all
Yeah.
good. I'm having trouble sharing the Facebook thing though. It looks different.
I know there's been some updates to Facebook, uh, but you should be able to just hit it, share public,
Yeah.
and then your feed.
Let me try. I'm gonna try to do this different way. All right, there we go. Booyah. Because I know there's a couple people that I'm gonna share the link with them. They want me to do that this morning, so I'm getting ready to do that right now.
Again, everybody, if you're interested in coming in and talking with us, just send me a DM, and I will go ahead and send you a link to join. There's only a few rules. Keep it recovery orientated, and no violence, no violent talk, no talk about violence, calling to violence. Um, we don't play that. So, other than that, man, we're here to talk about anything you want to talk about. Today, we're going to talk about something important. We're talking about the holidays. We have 4th of July coming up, which can be a massive trigger for those of us in recovery and those of us with addiction issues. Oh, okay. But so yeah, Sammy. So we got 4th of July coming up, as we know. Year after year, we have several major holidays, and those major holidays tend to be a trigger. We see certain crimes skyrocket. Drunk drivings or driving under the influences skyrocket during holidays. Domestic violence, overdoses. All these things tend to alcohol poisoning. All these things seem to jump during the holidays. So let's talk about that, bro.
Well, I think, having spent the last 20 years in Wisconsin, my profession was a social worker. I worked in a mental health clinic, a licensed clinic as a counselor. And the majority of my clients were addiction related. And a lot of them were alcohol related. And a lot of them had OWIs, right? And not all of them, but a lot of them did. And what was crazy about the OWI piece is that they had multiple ones, right? I think that average person I dealt with probably had 4 or 5.
Wow.
But I've had maybe a couple of handfuls of folks who had 15, 20 lifetime OWIs. I know somebody who had one, and her case was she worked for the Johnsons. She was fairly wealthy, well positioned in that company. She had been stopped earlier that night and let go just minutes before the accident happened. After the police officer let her go, she ended up getting on the highway on the wrong exit and head on into traffic and hit a family head on. This was a woman who had never spent any time, getting in trouble. Now she is facing great bodily injury charges while intoxicated, which is like our minimum of 6 years in prison. She lost her job. Husband ended up hurting himself and lost her home, family. She was living in the basement with somebody who had schizophrenia, and so she was not feeling safe. She was painting basements for a living for cash, on the verge of homelessness. And, like her life was turned upside down. Now, that's an extreme case, but it's also not that uncommon for things to happen. The behaviors that led to that aren't uncommon, right? And so a big part of what we talked about in these situations was, what were you doing? Right. And the way it was described is interesting. There were like themes. We were celebrating. What were you celebrating? A holiday, a birthday, right? And then you hear how they celebrated, right? And here's the words of one client. It was a father. He had 2 OWIs. He said, we would throw our kids' birthday parties. The adults would be over here. The kids would be over there. They don't really talk to each other. They get ran off. The adults drink all day. The kids kind of play all day. He's like, we didn't even really, and then we came together for the cake and presents, but you're there 8-10 hours and you spend maybe 30 minutes celebrating, right? He said it was like we got together to drink under like the flag of a celebration, but we weren't really even celebrating. We were just drinking.
Morning, Sandy. Love you.
Morning, Sandra. You're right. It was like, and it's a theme, right? You're supposed to be going to socialize, according to the folks, because they say they do it to socialize. But then you drink so much, you really don't even remember socializing,
Right.
right? Or you do so much drugs, you don't remember it. If if you have to get wasted to socialize, is getting wasted, and by wasted I mean like blackout or sloppy or illicit substances, breaking the law. If you have to do those things to socialize, is that really what socializing looks like? Or are we redefining what socializing means?
Well, and so let me let me preface by saying we live in Wisconsin, where 15 of the top 20 drunkest cities in the country reside. Right, like alcohol is actually a culture, uh, or a part of the culture of Wisconsin. And I recognize the same things. Like I'd throw birthday parties for the kids, and people show up with a couple of 12 packs because they know I'm not going to supply you with beer. You know what I mean? So I think in Wisconsin, like there's a deep rooted systemic cultural problem, and drinking is at the foremost. Like what do they say? Drink Wisconsinably, uh, beer, old fashions, and cheese. You got it, Megan. Uh, like that is something that I mean, and how do we identify that? I don't know if I told you the story early on. I was living with a friend. We were really close, and his daughter told me I was weird. And I was like, why? And she's like, well, you never drink, Uncle Monty. I was like, no, 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 no. I said, baby, don't think that I'm weird. People who drink every day are weird. I'm normal, right? Like I'm normal. I'm not a hardcore anti-alcohol person. I don't mind if people drink. It doesn't bother me. That's their thing. Have a couple beers, do your thing. But once it affects your surroundings, once it becomes a daily part of your life, now you've become out of the norm. You're really the odd one, right? Like I'm a normal human being. I don't need alcohol to enjoy my time. I don't need alcohol to relax. I don't need alcohol to quench my thirst, right? Like the oddity, just like my coffee addiction, bro. Like I drink 25, 30 cups of coffee a day. Like
Holy fuck.
I shocked Alex when me and Alex were talking. He was like, dude, your caffeine intake is higher than most
You got a
competition,
problem.
right? Professional level competition fucking athletes who need the, who take it as part of their routine. They take como se dice, they take caffeine. And he was like, dude, you're my doctor. His first words when he's like, how many cups a day do you drink? I was doing 20 and 30 on a normal day. Like that's why stop now. Like, what are you doing? You're an idiot, right? That to me, that's the same as an alcohol abuse, right? So I cut my coffee intake back, which was hard. Like the withdrawals of caffeine were very real, like headaches, grogginess, like cutting off caffeine. I'm telling you, man, it's like crack in a
I'm
cup.
not judging you. I'm eating peanut butter by the spoons right now.
Right, right. So I think we really do have a culturally systemic problem in Wisconsin
Let's
or in the
put some
Midwest.
facts. Let's put some facts behind it. Wisconsin has led the nation in OWI offenses for decades. In Wisconsin, it's the crime committed the most. It's the number one most dangerous crime committed in the state, and we bypass the nation easily. Like
By
there's no
double digits.
competition. There's no
By
competition.
double digits, we passed the nation.
No competition, right?
Yeah.
Now let me add to your summary of daily drinkers in Wisconsin. More people there are more people diagnosed with binge drinking than daily consumption. You don't have to drink every day to have a problem with alcohol. You know that?
You said it, Dreams. You're right, babe. With the least amount of penalties. Keep going, bro. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. More people are diagnosed as binge drinkers, and I'm going to talk about what that is. So people who have the diagnosis of alcohol dependency, right? Alcoholism is not a diagnosis. It's alcohol dependency. That's the diagnosis, right? More people are binge drinkers with that diagnosis than daily drinkers. And here's why this is important. A lot of folks who don't drink every day, who only drink on the weekends or at parties or at special occasions, don't think that they have a problem like people unless you are a daily drinker. But I've said this story before. I'm gonna tell it again. So it's a kind of an anecdote. If you smoke pot, the alcoholic looks at you and be like, "Well, I don't do drugs," and the pothead's like, "Well, I don't fucking drink every day," right?
Yeah.
The guy who smokes pot says, "Well, you know what? I'm not doing cocaine." The guy who does cocaine is like, "I'm not doing heroin." Person who does heroin is like, "All y'all pussies, I'm the only real drug user in here." Right?
Yeah.
The point is, no matter what your problem is, when you're like in denial, you will never in your mind meet the definition of what a problem drinker or user is. So the alcoholic who doesn't drink every day is judging the one who does. The alcoholic who drinks every day is judging the person who drinks every day and has lost his job. The guy who who has lost his job says, "Well, I haven't lost my family." Loses his family, says, "Well, I still have my home." Loses his home and says, "Well, at least I'm not doing heroin."
Right.
Right? Like you'll never fit the diagnosis. And then he does it. Yeah. So let me talk about binge drinking because might surprise some folks more than anything. So check this out. We're gonna do a little math. On an average, the average size person, not me or you, can metabolize one beer per every 1 to 2 hours. So let's just say if you're a small person, more than likely, if you're a female and small, it's going to take you about 2 hours to metabolize one drink. All right. If you're a big guy, your alcohol content from one drink will be lower. Biologically, men have more muscle than women. So women's AC tends to climb faster because they have a higher content of body fat. That means less water.
Yep.
And so their blood alcohol, their AC climbs faster than men just from that biological fact. But also we carry a lot of probably more mass than the average woman. And so it takes a little bit more for our AC to climb. But that doesn't have anything to do with how alcohol affects you, right? Alcohol will affect you no matter who you are. And you may have a higher tolerance than someone, but tolerance doesn't mean that you're not affected by alcohol. So this is kind of interesting because, for people who can drink 12 beers in a sitting and think that they're still sober and think they can still drive and think that they are still functioning, they just have a tolerance that doesn't allow them to see or feel the effects of alcohol, but those effects are still happening. Like Your judgment deteriorates, your vision deteriorates, your balance deteriorates, you're well above the legal limit, all those kinds of things. So that's just
sidebar. One moment, Amy. I'm not acknowledging your good morning until you put my name on it first and Sammy's second.
Oh, shit.
She Amy, just gave a good morning.
He drew the line.
Bullshit. No good morning.
He drew the line.
Good morning, Monty and Sammy.
You should say good morning to the person you've known the longest first is what I would say.
Hey, right there.
Throw that out there.
Hey, Bobby, I know you're talking to me now. Good morning, beautiful.
I don't know. My hair is looking fleek right now.
Hey, you dude. Hey, with the headbanding todo, man, you're like 1983 exercise video breaking badass.
I'm gonna go do my jazzercise right after this call.
My favorite guys. Okay, that
She's
qualifies.
She's playing it safe. I see. Playing it safe.
I love you, Bobby. I love you, bro.
So. Enough of the science part of alcohol. It's important, but it's just kind of like nobody's paying attention to that shit. Anyway, on the other side is the type of drinking, right? The average person in Wisconsin would be considered a binge drinker, and it should be roughly between, if you have more than like 6 to 8 beers in the 2-hour period, 6 to 8 drinks. So it's not just beer because people are like, I don't drink beer. It's
alcohol.
It's a serving. So it's a shot, a glass of wine, or a beer are all roughly equivalent. So for folks who are out there saying, I don't drink the hard stuff, I just drink beer. The alcohol that's in your beer is the same alcohol that's in the hard stuff, right? that's in the wine too. So you don't get off lighter because you drink wine. No, so for example, a shot is 1.5 ounces. That has the same alcohol content as a can of beer. That has the same alcohol content as a normal glass of wine, 4 ounces of wine. So 1.5 ounces, 4.5 ounces, 4 ounces, 4 to 6 ounces, and 12 ounces. All of those different types of alcohol have the exact same alcohol in it. You got it? It's the same level. All it does is change the way it tastes and how much water and how concentrated it is. But 1.5 ounce, essentially a beer can has a shot in it. Essentially a glass of wine has a shot in it, more or less. So you follow me? So it doesn't matter if you smoke, if you drink the hard stuff, it's just how much you have to consume to get the same effect, right? Bottom line. So one is not more addictive than the other. Alcohol is alcohol is alcohol. All right, now check this out. A binge drinker might drink once or twice a month. Once a month, let's say once a month. But this binge drinker will go out. Now, when do people start pre-gaming? What time?
Oh, 9 a.m., 10 a.m.?
No, not that early. No.
Oh, yeah.
Average folks, don't go super extreme.
I know.
If you're going out Friday night.
Have you ever been to Lambeau Field for a football game?
We're not talking about those. That's a one-off.
Okay.
If you're going out Friday night, you're going to go to the club. You worked all day. You're getting off. You and your friends are going to go to the club. What time do you start pre-gaming?
I don't know, because I haven't been to a club or to a party or a bar since I've been home in 11 years.
You're stupid.
But look at Megan.
I get it.
Brownback.
I get it, but that's not the country. We're talking about average.
While they're getting ready.
We could do that. We could go to 6 a.m., but just follow me on this. This will drive that 6 a.m. point home even better, right? Most folks are going to start pre-gaming in the evening, right? Getting dressed, start drinking a little bit, you start relaxing. So let's say, I see some times out there, let's say 8 o'clock. Now, you start pre-gaming 8 p.m. What time will you stop drinking?
Bar closes at 2:30, 3 o'clock.
So let's say you drink from 8 p.m. You start drinking at 8 p.m. Your last drink is at 2:30. Say 2 o'clock, just to make it easy. That is, what is that? 6 hours?
Yeah.
That's a 6 hour.
Gone.
That's considered a binge. Just the amount of there's multiple definitions. So if you were drinking from 8 to 2, that would be considered a binge. So yeah, of course, if you start at 6 a.m. and the game is going all the way until the evening hours, that's considered a binge as well, right? I have been to a Packer game. I walked ankle deep through the bottles and cans to get through security because people were drinking right up until they got to the scanner, right?
Yep.
Now, so let's just keep it simple though. You drink from 8 to 2, you pregame, you get to the club at what, 10 o'clock? Right? So you've already been drinking for 2 hours. Now, that's just pre-gaming. The rate that you drink when you get to the club, you think that goes up, stays the same, or goes down?
Oh, it goes up.
Goes up.
Club.
So now you start to increase the speed in which you drink. And then you have to ask yourself, do you drink to the point of intoxication? Do you drink to the point of blackout? Do you drink until you're disoriented? Right? A lot of people don't know how to answer those questions and don't want to say, yes, I have blacked out. Yes, I have thrown up. Yes, I have made a fool of myself. Yes, I have made a fool of others. Right? Like when you start adding that, now you might only do this once or twice a month. That's still called binge drinking. And at the very least, right? You ready for this? At the very least, that is still abuse of alcohol. That's alcohol. That would be considered alcohol abuse. That doesn't mean you're addicted. It could, depending on a lot of other circumstances. But the way we drink, it would be considered at least abuse. Now, you could say it's misuse, but it depends on how long you've been doing that and what are the consequences of you doing that. So You know, do you wake up sick the next day? Do you feel embarrassed? Are other people embarrassed by what you've done? Have they talked to you about the way you behaved? Have they started to avoid you when you're drinking? Have you started to call into work? Have you started to slack off on some of your responsibilities? Did you sleep through the day and forget to feed your kid until 4 o'clock in the afternoon when you first woke up? You know, does it affect your sex life? And by that, it can be from all the way from promiscuity to not being able to perform. Like, there's all this stuff, right? There's all these factors, and this is why it's hard for people. Yeah, exactly, Amy. This is why it's hard for people to say, I have a problem, right? I have a problem, because there's so many different ways that this affects. But what it is it's excessive, it's rapid, and it's intoxicating, right?
Right.
Now, here's what's scary. You pre-gamed. How did you get to the fucking bar? That's your first offense, right? So if you got to break the law to do the things that you enjoy, that's where you start to realize this could be a problem, because people who are trying to be responsible in their life aren't going to put themselves and others at risk on the road. But remember, this is the number one most violent crime committed in Wisconsin. People do this all the time. Now, you go to the bar. How likely is it that you're going to bar hop?
Oh, yeah.
How likely is it that you're going to go to fucking, Waffle House or the Pancake House after and get some pancakes? Or stop at the gas station and get some cigarettes or gas, right?
Hey, there's a reason why Taco Bell's line at 2 a.m. gets as long as the
3
road.
miles long. Now, when you start adding up how many OWIs are just on a typical weekend for that person who drinks once or twice a month, they may have 3 or 4 OWI offenses in the process of drinking, going out, and then returning home, right? So they've committed 3 or 4 offenses, but because they don't get caught all the time, a lot of them feel like, it's no big deal. I'm good at it, right? But when you see how that shit starts to add up, when you start documenting this and putting it down on paper, it starts to fucking add up. And then you realize, like, I am doing a lot to do the most, right? And most folks are drinking to the point where their BAC is 5, 6, sometimes 10 times higher than the legal rate. Not 10 times, that's too much.
Amy, you're absolutely right.
What did Amy say?
It's also hard for others to see you have a problem because you only do it once or twice a week. So how are you an alcoholic if you don't drink every day? I have to explain I was a somewhat functional alcoholic. Absolutely. Absolutely. I know a person who top level, employee at a large company, like night supervisor, drinking daily, like a half a liter to a liter of rum a day, like still went to work on time, still did their job amazingly, came home every day, never had a criminal offense, never been caught. But I promise you that person was drunk 90% of the time they were driving, without them even realizing they were still drunk, because they had just got to a level of functionality with their drinking that was their normal functionality. They needed that alcohol in their system just to function. You know what I mean?
And it's a mix, right? It's the people who binge drink. They go out and fucking drink fast and long and hard, right? Raise their BACs super fast, right? A lot. And then you do last call, right? So maybe you feel fine before you left the bar, but you do last call. And, it takes a little while for that alcohol to kick in. So you get to your car, you feel fine, you're sitting down, you don't need so much balance. Meanwhile, your BAC is still rising. Now, remember I said the average person can metabolize 1 beer per 1 to 2 hours.
Yeah.
If you have 12 beers or 12 drinks in a sitting, and we know that that's low, you're looking at 12 to 24 hours before your BAC returns to 0. Now, remember, we said Friday night you're going out. You had at least 12 drinks. Your last drink was at 2 a.m. You go to bed. You wake up at 8. That's 6 hours later, right? You still got 6 to 12 hours before you're sober. What do we do on Saturdays? Oh, remember the birthday parties we were talking about? The little Johnny's got a birthday party, starts at noon. Let me get over there. Let me have a Bloody Mary to get this fucking hangover off my head. You start drinking at noon. You never even got sober from the day before. You start drinking at noon. You drink it till 6, 7, or 8 o'clock at night. Go to bed on Sunday. You wake up Sunday and you're still fucking got alcohol in your system. Right? And most of us don't. And meanwhile, you had to run to Walmart on Saturday to get Johnny a birthday card and a gift. Right? You're just committing OWIs from Friday until fucking Sunday afternoon sometime. You know what I mean? Like, you don't even know it. You don't even know it. And it's like you said, the culture, the lifestyle. This is why Formers talks about the lifestyle. Now, it's not just the whether you're drinking or smoking or getting high, whatever. It's not just that. It's the whole lifestyle. Look at what goes into getting ready to go out. Look at what goes into when you're out. Look at what it looks like when you have a family and friends that you're going to go party with. The next, it's a lifestyle. And you have to look at all of that. Shoot, I went to work at a car lot.
yeah. Right.
It's incredible. And we're just talking about the folks who drink occasionally.
Right.
Not everyone fits this, but let me tell you, I have worked with thousands of people who fit this. And I'm talking about in the Racine, Kenosha, Walworth area. I'm not even talking about the bigger parts of the state like Madison and Milwaukee. That was just the last 20 years I spent helping folks in the Tri-County area of Racine. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's incredible, bro. I did do some work in Milwaukee, though. It's incredible. Now, why am I talking about this? We talked about the holidays. This is what the holidays look like for a lot of people, man. Now, here's what's scary. You don't have to raise your hand, but if there's any people who smoke pot and you smoke regularly, if you smoke once every 6 months, the THC levels in your body are not going to be there after 2 or 3 days. But if you smoke regularly, and a lot of folks smoke daily, but even if you smoke 2 or 3 times a week, you could have THC in your system 24/7. You follow me on that? Like you could potentially be driving what would be considered under the influence 7 days a week every time you get behind the wheel if you're a pot smoker and if you smoke regularly. And so what does that mean? According to the Wisconsin law, I don't know what it is in other states. I'm guessing it's pretty similar though. Any measurable, detectable amount of any substance in your body, and they do that for other drugs. So like medications, pot, cocaine, crack, if they can detect it, regardless of how long it's been, you are looking at an OWI.
So check this out.
Medication.
In 2022, Wisconsin drunk driving stats. In Wisconsin, as of 2022, there were 494,939 drivers that had a first offense OWI conviction. There are 159 drunk driving deaths in 2018 and 136 drunk driving deaths in 2019. In 2020, Wisconsin is on pace to have around 145 fatalities due to drunk driving. The state home to Brew City was recently recorded to have 7 out of 10 of the cities with the most bars per capita. Wisconsin had a total of 6,326 arrests for second offense OWIs or higher in 2019 alone. In Wisconsin, about every 3 hours, someone is injured or killed in an alcohol-related crash. That's from the Wisconsin State Patrol.
You ready for this one?
Yeah.
The average person, before they get their first offense, commits damn near. Ready for this? If you've been a grown adult, right, commits anywhere between 3,000 and 10,000 offenses before their first arrest. And the average person who gets their first OWI will get their second within 4 years. The average person who gets 2 will have 4 within 10 years on average. This is a problem. And it's easy to tag alcohol, but Remember, we're also talking about other substances,
Yeah.
right? So she says, okay, meeting keeps fading out because I'm out of town. Oh, yeah. We love you, Amy.
Love you, babe.
DWI. So, Maria, that's a good question. OWI, DWI, whatever they call it, it depends on what each state calls it. It's the same thing, though.
Right.
Wisconsin calls them OWI. I believe Illinois calls them DUI. They're the exact same offenses.
Right. Driving while intoxicated. It doesn't
under the
matter
influence.
If it's alcohol, yeah.
It's just what the state calls it, but they're all the same. So in Wisconsin, it doesn't matter what you get pulled over for. So like if you got pot, crack, cocaine, whatever it is, it's still an OWI. There's no difference. So Wisconsin doesn't. I don't know what they're called here in Missouri yet, but I believe Illinois calls them DUIs. But it's the same thing as an OWI. It's just what the state calls it. It's a state statute essentially.
All right, bro. So
hold on.
So now we've identified part of the problem, or some of the identifiers and the markers.
The lifestyle, yeah.
The lifestyle. What do we do now coming into this holiday that's going to help us to avoid those situations? Like, what are the red flag thoughts, if we want to call them that? And what do we do to remove ourselves mentally, emotionally, culturally from the situation that's going to put us in danger?
First of all, it's there is no. I wish I have a simple answer, but I don't have an easy answer. Simple answer is you got to overhaul your lifestyle, right? And this is addiction. If you have addiction, the problem is that means you've lost control of something that you're trying to do, and you got to come to terms with that loss of control. What the first step is, right? Admitting there's a problem, acknowledging the loss of control, right? Loss of control. You blacked out. That's a loss of control. You could argue that when you pre-gamed and drove to the bar, you had to override your own morality, your own conscience, your own sense of civility, your own values around public safety and caring for others. You have to put all that out of your mind to get behind the wheel, intoxicated or under the influence of some substance. You just it'd be okay. And some of us do it with our kids in the car.
Yeah.
Because maybe you pregame, now you got to drop the kids off at the sitter. Like we just do this shit and we don't really think about it. Right now.
Yeah.
You have to come to terms. And now, trust me, some folks do this and they're irresponsible. There's the levels to this. There's like you're irresponsible, you're borderline abusing it, you're abusing it, or you become dependent. And it's a thin line between abuse and dependency, but that line matters because some folks who are abusing can roll it back and get their shit together and never have to worry about it. Sometimes they get a wake-up call, and normally it comes as a result of a life-altering event, like an arrest, like a breakup, like you get fired. Something happens that disrupts your life, and you realize, fuck, I got to rethink my strategy and what I'm doing and how I'm living. Maybe I'll start taking Ubers and cabs, and you make adjustments. And then those adjustments feed into being more responsible, right? But dependency, now you're talking about like an addiction or alcoholism or drug addiction. I saw someone in the comments says, he slows down. If you're dependent, there is no slowing down. You have to stop. Some of us cannot negotiate with the change. And so that means we can't negotiate with the rules. Some folks will say, well, I'm not going to drink hard liquor, I'm going to drink alcohol. Some folks say, I'm not doing drugs, so I'm okay. I've never been arrested. I'm not hurting. You just got to take a real look at it. And do you want to wait until you get arrested before you take a serious look at it? No, I don't think so. Now, lifestyle. Why am I going to Monte's party? Why am I going to Sammy's party? Is it to get drunk, or is it to come fucking see the people you care about and love and interact with them? Right? You have to ask yourself, what are we doing here? And that's why, when people came to my house out there, no one came over with fucking 12 packs. And I never had to ask anyone not to bring alcohol to my house. They just see how I live and they just respected that. And when I go to somebody's house, I'm showing up in a respectful manner, not losing my shit, right? No one in Racine can say they've ever seen me drunk, falling over, disorderly, or with a fucking beer in my hand walking into your house. I just don't. That's just my lifestyle. And I've never judged anyone who does do that.
Right.
Like it's It's up to
Yeah,
you.
people, hey, understand something really quick. One of the base founding ideas of forums is we're not judging, right? Like, this isn't us saying you're a piece of shit. We're not commenting on your lifestyle. Whatever you do is what you do. We're just going to tell you what we've done to make our lives better, right? And if you want to ride with us, ride with us. If you don't want to ride in the same car, like, at least you're here hanging out with us. Like, bang bang, whatever you do, bro.
A lot of people will say what works for me might not work for you. However, there are some standard practices you might want to think about following as a basis, but then you've got to tweak and tailor it for yourself, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
Like, I can go into a bar today and not feel any pressure that I'm or even a sense of loss of control. That might not be the next guy. That might not be my friend over here who hasn't gone down the path very far and is struggling with triggers and shit like that.
Yeah.
You know, drugs is not my trigger. Alcohol is not my trigger, you know, but you put me in certain situations, certain environments, you know, I get certain feelings. You know, you remember my apartment in Chicago? That was like right in the middle of Latin Kinghood.
Yeah.
Like my guard would always go up. It's a trigger. It's that triggered me more. And it's not like I lost control. I could just feel the energy that used to come with that kind of environment. You know,
like you were in the wrong place.
It was more like the level of aggression necessary to be in that place.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I knew I would have to be in like kill mode, you know, and I could feel my body like wanting to react, and you know, but I'm in a place in my life where that shit doesn't control me, you know. But depending on where you're at in your recovery, that shit might be too much. So that's why we say to each his own. As we talk about lifestyle changes, I mean, what have we always said, Monte? If you shouldn't be playing with matches, man, don't fucking play with matches.
Right.
You know, no one is here to tell you what you should and shouldn't do, can and can't do. But you have to take an honest look. The more honest you can be about the type of changes you need to make based on that match the problem you have, the more likely that this feedback is going to apply and be useful to you.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So we have to look at a lifestyle change. And that can sound pretty overwhelming. But sometimes it's little things you can do, right? Let's say you're not on the spectrum of abuse or dependency, but let's say you're just irresponsible, right? Let's take a solid look. What's one change you can make? Fucking take Ubers or Lyfts or cab wherever you go. Get dropped off, arrange for a ride home, right? Get a designated driver and make that designated driver honor that commitment. So little tweaks like that. However, if you're an alcoholic and you're trying to change by getting an Uber, it's the wrong fucking plan for you.
Right? Wait, not the plan. You're saying that's not the right direction.
Dude, I've had guys 6 OWIs. I'm only drinking in my garage now.
Right.
I don't go nowhere. And I'm like, that's a great plan for someone else. Like that is not the plan for you, bro. And here's what he did. Called the cab, went to go get cigarettes. Somewhere between the cab ride and the cigarettes, blacked out. You ready for this? Kenosha. This was Kenosha. Some of you might remember. Carjacked the cab and went to drink at a bar.
Jeez.
In a blackout. Wrong plan for you. Great. You know, that plan would work for a lot of folks, dude. That's a solid plan, a gold standard plan for someone else. But some of us don't know. All right, Megan.
Take care, Megan. We'll see you next week.
Know how serious our problem is, man. Look, if you're a grade A alcoholic and you think you're irresponsible, I can tell you right now, your plan is never going to work. No matter if you're the one designing it and you got no feedback and no one, I'm gonna tell you right now.
No objective viewer on the outside looking in and saying, well, maybe, like, let's think about this possibility here, bro.
Maria, I hear you, man. I hear you. I've been through hell and back. Look, we all have that. That we're not trying to make people feel bad here. What we're talking about though is like what we got to look at, right? And so
How do you feel about that comment about hitting rock bottom? Because I have feelings about that rock bottom stuff that are unconventional. Like, I don't think you need to hit rock bottom to change your fucking life. I don't think that's what's gonna. I don't think everybody necessarily needs to hit rock bottom to decide they need to fix something, right?
Well,
Even
here's
when they
what's
have
crazy.
a problem.
Rock bottom is subjective, because normally what we mean by rock bottom is that was one of the worst things I've been through in my life.
Right.
But for someone else, that's just their beginning.
Right.
Right. Going to prison could be someone's beginning.
Right.
And in the literature, I said, like, we hit rock bottom, then we pull out a jackhammer because we ain't done. No. We're going to go deeper if we can, right? That's right, Heather. Everyone's bottom is there. But rock bottom is what I would call, a lot of times it takes a life-altering / rock bottom event to happen for people to go like this. I wonder if I have a problem. She's not wrong. She's not wrong. Like, sometimes people got to get hit over the head. However, I will say the other thing, interventions work. That's right, Amy. Hey, and that's the other thing. Amy's spot on, right? I thought you were gone, Amy.
That's the house I was partying at until I went to sleep.
Look,
I decided to go back.
You can make a plan while you're sober.
Yeah.
But again, are you able to stick to, are you the kind of person who can stick to that plan once you start drinking?
Hey, Amy always has the most gangster truths to drop on you too, right? Yeah, sure. You were fucking smart when you were sober. Like, then I had a few drinks and fucking.
It's a great plan while you're sober. Right. It's a great plan. Look, I'm not going to drink more than 6 beers tonight. And then you get into the beers, right? You're like 6, you get 6 beers in, your judgment is gone.
Yeah.
Your judgment, you know what I do? I just it's ridiculous, man. Like, you can't stick to the plan. There's no sticking to it. Yeah. I'm gonna take an Uber when I get drunk. And then you're at the bar and you're like planning on taking the Uber. I'm fine.
I'm good. I can do it.
You know, or I had a guy who had his wife pick him up and then he forced her out of the driver's seat.
Right, because you wanted to drive. Yeah.
You know,
I can drive just fine.
Great plans, man.
Right. I'm a man.
Again, we have to be honest with the level of control we think we have.
Right.
Yeah. And you're right, Amy. It's there. You don't use the same mind after you start drinking that you used before. But here's what's crazy though. We would like to say that's alcohol. But remember when you pre-gamed? You were sober when you made that decision. You said, here you are sober, fresh off of work. You haven't had a beer in 2 weeks. And you said, I'm going to drink alcohol before I go to the bar. And then I'm going to drive to the bar. I'm going to get wasted. And then I'm going to leave the bar after I'm wasted and come back home. You did that while you were sober. This is why it's a bigger issue to talk about than we could say it's the alcohol, but how many of us made the decision to do these things while we were sober? Right? It's just, and that's when you know you have a loss of control.
Yeah.
Yeah, Maria, you're right. That's what we're talking about is this culture, right? Let me tell you the best example of this. There was these 2 Latinos, one old guy.
Spanish-speaking indigenous people? Because I don't know what the word Latino means.
Oh, my God, Monte, wrong show. Listen, it was some Spanish kind of person. I don't know what it was.
Spanish-speaking indigenous person.
I don't know if he was Spanish. No one said a word. That's the thing. But he looked. Okay. They looked the part. Now, you had an old guy, and he had like gray hair, so you could say he was old. But he was sharp dressed, very well trimmed man. He looked slick, old man slick. If I was a woman and into old dudes, I'd be into him. Talking to a young guy, his hair slicked back, not like mine. His hair looked great, and suited and booted. And they're in a club. Or it looks like a very dark, kind of like a cigar lounge look, like very rich cigar lounge-y look, right? And the old man's talking, and the young man's like this, like just looking at the dude, like tuned into his wisdom. And then after like 30 seconds of that, you're just kind of looking at this really chic, posh, wealthy looking environment. Two people, looking sophisticated in this conversation. The old man obviously imparting wisdom on the young man. And then you see a banner of words coming that says class, right? If you have to ask what it is, you don't have it. That's the commercial. Fade to black, and then the word Hennessy comes across the screen. And I was like, what the fuck did this have to do with Hennessy?
Man. Oh, fuck, man.
Oh, dude, it was a cold commercial until the word Hennessy flashed. And I'm like, I don't get it.
Right.
I guess I don't got it. I've been in a lot of rooms like that. I didn't know I needed Hennessy to have class, though.
Right. Or
how about this started in the 80s when they called there's a video, it's probably out on YouTube, might be in Netflix. It's called Selling Cool. We should all watch that. Maria, this is to your point. Back in the 80s, Sprite was one of the first companies to embrace, remember the MTV days?
Yep.
To embrace the urban underground movement. And so Ludacris, way back when he was just getting started, a lot of folks didn't even know who Ludacris was in a club rapping and singing. And again, you don't see Sprite. You don't see Sprite in the commercial. He's on the club. Everyone's jamming. He's on the mic, on the stage. You're rapping and doing his thing. And then at the very end, when he's done doing his concert, he drinks a Sprite. And that was considered like an innovative moment in marketing because they were selling a lifestyle, not a product. And they were essentially saying that if you want to be cool, this is the way you are cool. Right?
Believe it or not, I found it.
It's not feeling.
No fucking, is that Drake?
Yeah. Oh no,
no. This has to be newer than that one, because Drake would have been a baby back then.
It looks like Drake. Now it's not going to load. There it goes. Oh yeah, it's Drake.
I think this is the newer version of it, but it might be. They might have spun off of it. But and so to Maria's point, we sell this as a lifestyle, right? Everyone's doing it. This is the way to go. This is how you celebrate. Don't drink Bud Light, drink Miller. Like it's all, and I bet you some of us drink a certain kind of beer to look like we fit the part. Right? Like we just like some of us who smoke Newports instead of Marlboros, right? It was like look the part, play the part.
Yeah.
The image, and that's a part of lifestyle. We got to challenge the image, right? Yeah, Maria, that's right. All of this is culture, but we don't have to participate in that culture. And it's a subculture that has taken dominance, because to your point, Monte, it's actually normal for the human body not to drink. The intoxication we feel is our body feeling like it's been poisoned. The body's reaction to poisoning.
It actually, like biologically, it is poison.
It is poison.
That's why people die from alcohol poisoning. Like, it is poison.
I like your question, because your question is what we have to reflect. Like, if this is me, and if you're on this call, you can relate to some of this stuff, right? Because this is who gets attracted to us, right? Or folks who are thinking about these kind of lifestyle changes. Some of us might need to make tweaks to our lifestyle. Some of us might need to do a major overhaul. Yeah. And it's, again, to each his own. And if you can use your judgment to match the level of the problem you have. But remember, if you think you can drink in the garage, but it's not the right plan for you, like you haven't matched the solution to the level.
It's like changing your spark plugs when your motor's blown. You know what I mean? Like, you blew the heads out on your motor, bro, but yeah, sure, change the spark plugs. It might help. I don't know. Like, I've only been doing this for 30 years. But yeah, and that's so you're right? Like the level, right? You might have a blown motor. You just might need to change the spark plugs, right? Like, but whatever you're going to do, man, at least you're doing something. I also don't like the seeming.
And here's the other thing that a lot of folks will do to prove that they don't have a problem, right? They will go. It's kind of like a diet fad.
Right.
They'll diet off of the whatever their drug is for a period of time to prove they don't have a
Oh
problem.
yeah, I'm good. I don't have a problem.
Right. So I could go. I haven't had a beer in 3 months. Right. That is one level of control. Right. I get it. But when you go back to the behavior, you'll normally pick up right where you left off or soon thereafter. So most people who have a problem with substance abuse or alcohol, they can go years sober, clean, but when they resume again, they normally pick up right where they left off.
That Pac-Man mouth, man. Like when you were talking to me about that was eye-opening for me, right? Because I had never really delved into why it was I could do 2 years in the hole, not have a single cigarette, and within 2 days of being released from the hole, smoke 3 packs a day as if I had never stopped, right? It was just a constant bam, 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 right? And it made sense afterwards, right? He grows, but he doesn't shrink, right? Like he's there still. That monster is still inside you. It's
It goes
still
dormant.
waiting.
It's
Right.
just dormant.
Yep. Protect
Right, and it
itself.
can be
sleeps
triggered.
until it needs. Right.
And it can be triggered, right?
Absolutely,
It's just
bro.
dormant. And because you have time, and now it might take you, let's say this. Let's say you normally drank 12 beers. And so it's been 2 years since you drank a beer or 2 years since you smoked some pot. You might get high faster, drunk sooner, but you'll get back to your tolerance a lot quicker than when
Yeah.
you first got there. So it'll take you weeks to do what maybe took months or years before, because your body already has a memory and has a tolerance built up, and it knows how to react. See, a lot of young kids, a lot of young kids get fucked up and lose control because they don't have any experience with it. So they don't have any idea what amount and how much and how fast and how it affect them. So they're experimenting, so they get all whacked out, right? But as an adult, you remember, oh, I can do a 12-pack. And so your body already knows how to adjust to the feelings of it. It knows what to expect. And so it doesn't have a shock value for you. So you're able to get back to where you were at quite quicker, right? You pick up right where you left off.
In school, a group came in to talk to us about alcohol. It was my understanding that there's several types of alcoholic. Absolutely.
Yeah. And remember, not everyone who drinks is an alcoholic.
Right.
And not everyone who drinks every day is an alcoholic. And not everyone who drinks on the weekends is not. No single factor can give you that diagnosis. It's an accumulation. And here's what we're normally looking for, whether it's drugs or alcohol, right? And it can be any combination of this. Has it affected your life in a negative way? Are other people, like your loved ones, people close to you, talking to you? Have you ever lost a job or been talked to at your job about this shit, right? Is it affecting your health? Yeah. Is it affecting your responsibilities? Like money, paying bills, being able to keep a job, maintaining your property. There are a lot of, do you black out? Are you committing crimes while you're doing this? Are you violent when you do this? Are you aggressive when you do? It takes a lot of things. Now, some of those have more weight than others, but you might be surprised how a person can get there. And it's not actually easy to get diagnosed with dependency, and it's designed like that on purpose. Normally, when you get that diagnosis, it's irrefutable. There's so much evidence. And like if you're being responsible and you're not sure someone's dependent, you would basically say, I suspect it, but I can't prove it. Right. So you wouldn't even give them it. We don't just throw it around indiscriminately. You don't just get it because you drink. It takes a lot more than that. And I think sometimes those, just being fair, some of the professionals overdiagnose and they diagnose too quickly, because that's just bad training and bad ethics. But people who are trying to be ethical in this field are going to make sure they're giving out the right level of diagnosis and the right level of care.
Yeah.
Heather says, it blows my mind who thinks it's pretty normal to have a beer or two at every stop on the charity. Yeah. I was blown away because, Racine, thanks, Chrissy. I went to a beer tent at a church function.
Yeah.
I was like, y'all raising funds on this shit?
Oh, yeah. Dude, Like, it's ridiculous, bro.
Throw the baby out with the bathwater, then I guess, let's just do it.
Yeah,
Now,
no doubt.
So why are we talking about this the weekend, the week before July 4th week, right? Is because some of us got to go out. You're going to go with family. This is going to be their way of doing things. Maybe some people will be there. But I'll tell you what, man, not everyone at those functions is doing that.
Yep.
If you're early in your recovery and you got to go to a function, you're not sure that you have willpower, one thing I would recommend, if you want to go and you need to go, it's kind of like you have to go kind of thing. Like you feel like it's a major responsibility.
Obligation.
Take somebody with you who is there to help you maintain your path. Take a buddy with you, right? Ask a friend, tell your friend what your problem is, tell your friend what your game plan is, and ask them to be a good accountability partner with you.
So you know what I've noticed, bro? You made a really good point in the morning. Adults stand over here, or earlier in the show, adults stand here, the kids are over here, they separate. There's normally, if you guys pay attention at those parties, there's normally one or two adults who don't drink, who stay over by the kids and play with them and keep them, safe. If you're that, new and it's that hard and it's going to be a problem, attach yourself to that person. Right? Hey, man, I don't drink. Like, they're all over there getting drunk. You mind if I hang out here with you and help with the kids? Like, can we get them stuff? Can we get them dogs and plates or whatever? Like, there's always a spot at almost every mixed party that I've been to, like barbecue, birthday party, where there are a few adults who just sit to the side by themselves because they don't party or they're the designated driver for their husband or their wife. Attach yourself to those people. Like, they will be so happy to have another person in their crew. Like, they kick it. Are those bows, arrows, and a blonde?
Was there? I thought I felt somebody staring at me.
Yeah, I just seen the top of her head grab something and then go back up.
She's camera shy.
Camera shy. Well, why doesn't she watch? Like, I'm gonna have to call her later and yell at her because Lizzie gets on every time.
So I think your point is valid because what you got to recognize that not everyone at these functions is doing this. So to Chrissy, Maria, Heather, yeah, shit's off the chain at these beer gardens or whatever you're talking about, right? These, but remember this: not everyone there is doing that. I promise you. And even if they were, that has no bearing on what you do. Now, I'm gonna give you a couple real simple cheat codes to make it easier on you because to your point, Monte, that little girl saying you're weird, a lot of adults say the same thing. Oh, you're weird, you don't drink. If you don't want to deal with the pressure of that, here's what you do.
Don't
go to the bar get a cranberry and Sprite drink in a clear cup, right? Just can mix me Red Bull and cranberry juice or Sprite. It looked like a mixed drink, and you just walk around with that because no one's going to be trying to push a beer on you or a drink on you because they think you already got one.
Dude, at my son's benefit, one of the bartenders who was a good friend of his and mine and Lizzie's, Alyssa, so that I could join with the crew, she never said anything, but every time they sent a shot down to me, she sent me what she called a Primo, which was 7-Up in a shot glass. And I banged them all night long, right? Like, and nobody knew. Like, they're like, "Oh, wow, you're great, Monte. You don't drink, but you're not drunk." Nope, I'm good to go. Let's play some pool, right? Let's celebrate Junior's life. And she would send me Primo after Primo after Primo, which stopped me from having to go and say, "Hey, listen, man, no, don't thank you," or "Oh, come on, it's your son," right? Like, because everybody uses it as an excuse to get drunk. And there was a specific reason why I didn't drink. I don't have a drinking problem. I don't drink normally. Like, it's not an issue for me. That's not my addiction. But I didn't drink at the benefit because I felt like it would be a disservice and a dishonor to my son's memory to take away the pain, right? Like, I felt like he deserved for me to feel the full weight of his loss. And that was important to me. People tend to use loss as an excuse to cover up pain.
People
by
use
drowning
anything, man. Anything.
Yeah.
These
I'm not down with that
these
shit.
festivals are all like that.
Yeah.
Are we really selling Greek holidays or Cinco de Mayo? They all look the same. If you took the colors and the flags away, and put people behind a mask, you wouldn't know what the fuck they were celebrating. You would just know they were all drinking.
And nobody really knows what Cinco de Mayo is, right? They all think it's Mexican Independence Day, September 9th, people. The truth is, Cinco de Mayo is a celebration of the destruction of the French army, the defeat of the French army. It was just a celebration of a huge battle. Bang, bang, right? Let's get drunk for it. Like, we're Mexican today. It's like, what's the Irish fest? What's the St. Patty's Day, right? Oh, St. Patrick. He loved God. Let's get drunk.
Christmas.
Right?
It can be Christmas, Easter, birthdays, the 4th.
Dude, out here, so you guys know I live amongst the whites.
Day.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody knows this. I live amongst the whites. I'm in a outer suburban neighborhood.
No,
this is the first time I experienced
No,
this.
you don't.
I do.
Have you been out here?
Do you know what adult trick-or-treating is? So out here in the driveways, when you take your kids trick-or-treating, they have a separate table for the adults with shots, hot toddies, beer, and liquor. Like, the parents walking their kids to do trick-or-treating, at every house you can stop and have a hot toddy, you can have a shot of spiced rum, warm rum. Like, this is the whitest place I've ever been in my life, right? Like, this, I live amongst the whites. Like, who else would do that? Like, East LA, we didn't do that. Well, we really didn't go trick-or-treating much either, but we sure as hell didn't. It's Tuesday, let's party. It's been a bad day, let's drink, right? Let's take the kids to drink, and those people think it's perfectly fine. Social behavior, not a new thing, though. Salmonorama has been supporting drunk parents for 30 years. Drunk parents, huh? Bang, bang. Yeah, no, I get it, man. For me, like, I have more fun hanging out with my kids without being inebriated, right? Like, I enjoy my time with my kids, man. I enjoy my time with my friends and my family. Like, if I'm fucked up and drunk and sitting in a corner throwing up or crying or, whatever it is, I'm not going to have as good of a time as I am when I'm just hanging out with you. You know what I mean? And we're talking shit. And, just so you guys know, Sammy and I don't always talk about recovery, right? Like, we have a friendship and a relationship outside the show and outside of this is my brother, right? Like, I enjoy the times where we hung out and just welded shit and worked on shit and talked about a problem solving for a car or what's wrong with your motorcycle. Like, all that shit, man. So,
or don't have any more babies.
Well, we can't do that anymore. There are no children coming in our house. Like, that's been evacuated. That whole area has been removed from the human body.
So listen, Samaya went out on a friendly outing with a friend, and she was doing cartwheels, and she fell and head first on her shoulder. Ooh. So I gotta walk her I gotta take her to the ER this morning. Listen, it's a holiday weekend.
Bang bang.
Let's celebrate the relationships that we have with each other. Let's celebrate if you're into the freedoms that you have, whatever the 4th means for you, outside of liquor, or drugs, get together for the reasons of truly socializing. And for me, socializing, what I'm doing, because me, Monta, I don't need friends, around me. So I'm quite happy living out here with no human contact for months at a time. But I realize that's not what my family enjoys or likes to do. So I am making extra habits of making small talk, trying to come off as friendly and approachable, and still people come up with, you're scary. I wouldn't want to meet you in a dark alley, even though I'm smiling and trying to be nice.
I just got a DM. Viewers are wondering, where did you find a king size camouflage bed sheet?
Actually, this was in the moving truck when you moved me out here.
Was it really?
No.
I was going to say, look, give it back. I need my bed sheet.
You know what I can't find, though? We got to wrap this up. So, I got that big grill.
Yep.
And that on the back of that grill is an infrared stone where I can rotisserie meat, right? Mm-hmm. And I have a motor and attached to this big stainless steel stake and I put the chicken or turkey on there,
Yeah.
and it just rotates it. I can't find that steak, that silver. I've looked everywhere here, man. It's
How
gone.
long
And
is it? I'll take a look in the truck.
it's
But
probably like 3 feet, 4 feet. You'll notice it's beautiful stainless steel. It's the width of my
your
that
grill,
the grill, not the whole grill, but the grill.
the heat part.
So it's about 3.5, 4 feet, I would say. Stainless steel, black handle. It's super nice. Just can't fucking find it, man. I'm looking everywhere for it.
I look in the truck. It's only been what, 2 years, 3 years?
Who knows? There's probably a lot of my shit in there, so I couldn't just missing shit everywhere. I'm missing like whole shelves and shit.
Have you looked in your garage, bro?
I have.
Like we should
All
go
right.
on. Hey, we should go on a field trip right now, as he says. Yeah, I looked in my garage and take a video of the garage that we packed from top to bottom, almost wall to wall, with stuff after filling his house with stuff, you guys. And he went into a bigger house from his original house. It's not like he downsized. All right, brother. All right, everybody. We love you guys. I
Be
love
safe.
You, bro.
Have fun. Stay clean and
Everybody-
sober if that's your thing. Stay
Which,
responsible if that's your thing.
Yeah, right.
You don't have to do those things that others are doing, and you can. Trust me, there are a lot of people there. And fuck, push come to shove, hang out with them kids. They're bored as fuck, and they would love some adult interaction. Like,
Unless they're heathens like my son, who's truly not a human being, then avoid them at all costs.
Gosh, is
Let's
Danica home now, or is she still out?
She's still out. We're gonna fly out there. We're gonna fly out there end of July and help her mom drive her Winnebago back. She's moving home. She's gonna start over. She's got her. Yeah, she's dealing with all her legal
You
issues.
driving truly cross country.
Yeah. We're in a Winnebago with 3 kids and 3 adults.
That's $5,000 in gas. That's all I hear.
Yeah.
$5,000 in gas.
Hey, she'll have a home for a lot cheaper than it would cost her to, get one here. So, everybody, I want you guys to wish Sammy a congratulations. Even though this is old news, this is the weekend we were planning to be out there to help him celebrate his wedding to my beautiful sister-in-law Julie Rangel. Tell her I love her, but congratulations, bro. I love you with all my heart.
You too, man.
So tell the kids I love them.
All right. Peace out, y'all.
You know the best thing about me not coming?
The shits that you would have to take in my toilet, probably.
No, the fucking robberies that are committed every time I come near your fucking youngest daughter. I ain't got no money right now.
You just got to stop at the ATM before you get here.
Right.
Yeah,
For those of you who don't know, his kid's been fucking gangstering in my pocket since the day what was she, 5? The first time she reached in my pocket and took out a 10, and she was like, "That's mine, Theo."
Ooh wee.
All right.
Well,
we love you guys.
You get off easy. I live with her.
Shit. we appreciate everything you guys do. I'll talk to you later, brother.
Peace out.
We will be here next week, you guys. We'll be continuing on with the series. We'll make sure that we keep you guys posted. Again, thank all of you for the support. Aunt Chris, Maria, Jess, Amy, Megan today, Bobby. Who else participated? I know there was a couple other. Forgive me if I don't remember. I am medicated. I really am, guys. Sorry about that. To my cousin Dreams, beautiful. Tony, I love you, bro. Thank you for being a part of it. Sandra, I love you guys all. Thank you for sharing. Just so you guys know, we hit a few thousand views on one of our other videos, and we're still growing. And hopefully I'll have teeth in a couple weeks. So I love you guys. Please enjoy the content and share.